Sure. You're ready for the most part.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Diamond, and I'm from Marlborough. I'm here tonight in the hopes that this ordinance will pass.
That's okay.
Shut it off.
I would ask anybody who has an active cell phone, please take your time to inactivate it. We would appreciate it. Thank you. That's the second one. I think we should all speak.
You done with that now? Okay, so I am here to support the ordinance that's hopefully going to be going into place throughout the city of Keene. As you know, I sent the original letter, and I've been working on this since May, along with a group of people that have sort of come along in growing numbers. Earlier today, I sent to the committee and to the attorney and to the police department some documents. There have been bans in Florida. There's an article that I sent you about Florida synthetic drug bans working. There is information that just simply getting it out of this general stores makes it more difficult to acquire. So some of the folks that would be acquiring it because it's an easy thing to get, if it does go further underground or out of the town, it's going to be harder to achieve getting that type of drug. There's nothing illegal about a city enacting an ordinance. We have ordinances and regulations for many things that have nothing to do with other towns, the state, whatever. And in terms of this, it's really, the question is not about prohibition, it's about a public health and safety risk. So with folks that are under the influence of the synthetic marijuana, and I know that that is sort of, it's a term we're using because it's what's well known, but it's certainly the only reason that it's been equated with marijuana in the first place is because it was intended to affect the same receptors in the brain. But aside from that, it does not give you the same type of high, and it certainly has enormous side effects that you're not seeing from marijuana use. That, though, I think is a separate issue, and we have to keep them separated. And I think in the next meeting, there's going to be talk about that, like Mr. Freeman said. So in terms of why it's a public health and safety concern, is that just recently, throughout the month of August in Denver, Colorado, where there has been a pretty large outbreak of overdoses and very strong reactions to the synthetic marijuanas and just the synthetic drug mixes in particular. 3 deaths have been now associated with it, with 100 hospital visits for folks that were having some severe reactions, anywhere from seizures to majorly aggressive behavior and so on. There's To the Maximus Foundation in Illinois, where this organization was founded by the mother of a woman whose son died after one use of synthetic marijuana. He was not a known drug user. He was not into any sort of chemical substance use, and it was sold to him as an herb for a hookah. There's also a girl named Emily who's in the national news now. She's recovering from a severe reaction to synthetics from last year, where she suffered a migraine, went into a coma, almost died, and then came out severely disabled. And she's been trying to climb over back to good health for several months now, and she is going to school in a wheelchair and partially blind still, about a year after the incident occurred. So this really is about, are we going to support our community in making sure that when we find something that's been severely detrimental to the health of others, are we going to do something about it, or are we going to sit back and watch it happen? And I think that this committee has spoken again and again that you're not going to sit back and watch it happen. And I commend you all for that. I think if you've gone over any of the information that I sent, it's very clear. And in terms of safety issues, when someone is on this particular drug, in many, many, many cases, they go into emergency rooms in a very elevated psychotic state, very elevated aggressive state. So they are posing health threats to our EMTs, to our doctors and nurses, to our police departments, and anyone that they come in contact with. There are stories in here about a woman who threw her 4-year-old child into a trash bin to throw him away when she was under the influence of synthetics. And there's also information that I sent about a man who ended up accosting his dog, killing it, and then trying to eat it while under the influence of this. So this isn't just something that someone's going to go peacefully sit in a room and enjoy on their own and have no repercussions. This is actually hurting the bulk of society. It's not something that's just affecting the individual, and even if it just affects the individual, these people are can become severely disabled, and then their family and the community are burdened with that. So I think that when we first started speaking about this, we were talking about a threefold approach, which meant educating the public so that people know what this is all about, and then creating the ordinance so that businesses that are not adhering to, I think, general morals of society will not be able to sell this without some repercussions. And then also supporting those who have had the misfortune of using it and becoming addicted to it, finding ways to assist them so that they do not have to hopefully go through some of the issues or even die from the use of this toxic substance. And we're not talking about drugs per se. There are federal and state laws for that. This is where the ordinance looks at a lot of chemicals. It is perfectly rational and reasonable for the city to ban things that they would wish to do so. And it's a chemical that we're talking about banning that's been damaging people. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
I do have a question, Ms.
Yeah.
King, if you don't mind. Earlier on in your remarks, you said one of the reasons you support this proposed ordinance is that it, the way things are set up now with the sale of these synthetic compounds, it's easier for folks who otherwise wouldn't gain access to them. Can you give some detail about who those folks are? Are they poor people? Are they younger children, adolescents? Is there a socioeconomic demographic?
The demographic is basically age 14 through 26-ish is where the bulk of use is happening. And when you have it available at a local market where youth congregate that might be in the categories of which they would be vulnerable to these things, and you have young adults who are willing to go and purchase this stuff and distribute it to younger people even though they may not be able to purchase it themselves, you're making it very readily available. So this is not going to take away the problem. The ordinance of ban or anything will not take away the problem, but it will lead towards the reduction of the availability, which in turn will keep at least some folks from being able to acquire it, especially the younger generation.
So it's similar to like a 21-year-old buying beer and giving it to 14 or 15. That's
right. It's extremely accessible for young children at this point. Extremely.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on the proposed ordinance? Sir, please come forward.